You're on the rant couch where I rant about whatever my $15 a month plus patrons want me to rant about. You can get one of these by being one of those. This one's for Kuiper, who says, Dealer's Choice, pick one. The Opie Radio podcast, which I don't know enough about. All I know is everything I hear from Who Are These Podcasts? Or number two, Immortals, and why you seem to find yourself enchanted by them. This question was inspired by an offhanded remark you made during the previous 2 weeks review where you talked about the reasons that Nemoscene was your jam, is that it had immortals and dealt with themes around that. I'd like to hear you elaborate on those ideas. So, I think that my fascination with immortality is a combination of a fascination with violence and a fear of death. So, I don't know how much I've talked about this. I'm sure I have somewhere. But, like, when I was growing up, I did not watch anything violent, basically, at all. My parents would they were going to watch a violent movie, they would tell us it was a kill movie, and we would run away. It wasn't even so much that we were forbidden from watching them as that we just wouldn't. We were not interested. If my parents were telling me this is scary, I'm not going to watch it. So I did not grow up really seeing anything all that violent. But when stuff like Samurai Jack came along, I was very entranced by the action. The just the coolness of watching a guy fight a fuckload of robots, just like this unbroken, intense action scene. And I also love, like, blood spray. I just think it looks cool when you cut something and a huge spray of blood comes out, So, like, eventually I saw Ninja Scroll and I ended up liking that. I saw Kill Bill and I liked that a little bit later. I would see these very violent pieces of media, but the stuff I enjoyed that was violent was not especially dark. It's like there's not so much the horrifying angle of, like, actual death. Like, most of the people dying are irrelevant. They're just, cutting through an endless amount of nobodies. There's not, no heroes are suffering. No emotional damage is being done, for the most part, in the action stuff that I enjoyed. And at a time when I was probably, like, at 16, 17, I started getting into more, like, darker anime, but it was really hard hitting. Like, Black Lagoon, the second season in particular, like, it hit me really hard. Seeing episode 3 of Now and Then Here and There, the Techno Lies, like, all those things, like, they were haunting to me. It was really difficult to watch that kind of really dark shit. But on the other hand, you had Bakano. And this is a show that is extremely violent. You see people getting their heads shot off, but it's always presented in a lighthearted, comical, kind of over-the-top, jaunty way because most of the characters are immortal. Certainly any character you care about, except for Rail Tracer, who is functionally immortal in that nobody can kill him. So, yeah, like, it was just like, oh, this is a way that you can explore violence without having it be dark. But it's also a way to sort of just escape the fear of death in general. Like, the biggest reason I eventually came to realize that I found this violence so terrifying is that I'm terrified of death. The idea that I will die or that people who I know and love will die is the scariest thought in the whole world. It's like, what will I leave unaccomplished? What will there be that I never got around to doing, And so I've always been obsessed with the idea of eventually attaining immortality, of, like, hoping that some kind of technological singularity happens and my consciousness gets uploaded to a computer or whatever the fuck, so that I can, or even just medical technology and, post-humanism allows me to, have a cyborg body or something that allows me to live longer so I can get accomplished all those things that I want to, that are beyond the scope of what I could do in this short life. But, I've come more to terms with death over the years. I feel like, it's largely, it's a very high probability, that I will die. So, you might even say 100% probability unless anything changes in the next, however many decades I've got. But, yeah, like, so immortality, it's both appealing to me in that it means I could go on forever, and it's also interesting in that it allows violence to be more fun, to be something that's not life-threatening. It's just an excuse to show people get bloodied and cut apart and shit. Violence without darkness, essentially. And I'd say those are the biggest reasons that I love Immortals.